Hi and welcome. December 2018 sees the release of Lightroom Classic CC 8.1, which includes several new features and enhancements, such as customization of the Develop panel, add to collection option in the auto import settings, a grid snap option in the book module, single step HDR Panorama merge, and a new process version, and more. So let's dive straight in. My name's Ken Fisher and this is LiveLink Training. And don't forget, if this is your first time with LiveLink Training, please visit my website, and if you scoot to the bottom of any page, just give this link a click here to subscribe to my YouTube channel. That would be really helpful. Thank you very much. Let's get on. Okay, first on the agenda is customizing the Develop panel modules. Now here we are, they've always been in this order, and if we want, we've always been able to switch one off. So let's say we don't use the tone panel that much. So we can right click on it now and we can select Customize Develop panel. And then we can say tone curve, I want to switch that off, so I'm going to untick the little tick box and I'm going to click Save. And you'll see that the tone panel disappears, so it's now not getting in our faces if we don't use it. If you want to bring it back, again we can right click on any of the panels, headers, and customize, and then we can put a tick back in tone curve, and then we can click Save and back it comes. Now this has always been there, but now we've got a little bit of an added functionality where we can actually change the order of the panels. So again, let's right click, we can go to Customize Develop panel, and then we can change the order of these by basically just dragging and dropping. So if we say, well, okay, well my HSL panel I use a lot more than the tone curve, so I'm going to click it and drag it and drop it to the top there. And then we say, well, I want my detail panel above my tone panel as well, so I can click and drag that up and drop it there. So we've now got the basic panel, the HSL panel, and the detail panel. And if I now click Save, it'll tell me that a relaunch is required. So I'm going to relaunch, and it'll ask me if I want to back up. I'll skip this time and I'll just wait for it to relaunch. And by the magic of post-processing, here we are back, and now you can see the panels have actually changed. We've got the basic panel, we've got the HSL and colour panel, and we've got the detail panel, all in the order that works best with our workflow. Cool, eh? Okay, now I'm going to put that back how it was. So I'm going to right click, customize, and then I'm going to put default order, and then I'm going to click Save. And again, it's going to ask me to relaunch. Now I do this because I'm used to it in this order. This may be useful to you, but for me, I've been using it that long now that I'm going to end up clicking on things that I think are in a place and they're not in a place. Well, maybe you can teach an old dog new tricks, I don't know. But I'm setting my ways with this one, and I'm quite happy with them as they were. So I'm going to go skip this time. And here we are, back with my original order. So give it a go, it might be useful for you. You can actually, as well as hiding or revealing, you can actually change the order of panels in the Develop module. Right, moving on. Auto import. In the auto import settings now, you can add imported photos from a watch folder directly to a specified collection. Now the auto import feature monitors a watched folder. As soon as it finds images in that watch folder, it automatically imports them into the collection you've set as the destination. Now after you've set up a watch folder and specify a destination collection, you simply drag the photos into the watch folder. Lightroom Classic CC automatically imports the photos to the collection for you, allowing you to bypass the import window. Now you can add photos from a watch folder like this. First we go up to the File menu and Auto Import. and auto import settings. Now in the auto import settings dialog, we've already set up a watch folder here. So I've chosen where I want my watch folder to be. And I'm enabling the auto import as well by putting a tick up here. And then here I've got my destination, which normally is another subfolder. But this time if I click on add to collection, I get the option now to add to any of the collections that I have in Lightroom. Or I could create a new collection. I'll just cancel that, but I can just add them to any of the collections that I've got. And then when I've finished, I just click OK. Next, we've got a small but certainly significant improvement to the book module. So let's scoot on over to the book module. And this is being able to align the photos. It's been a little bit of a problem before, but now we've got something that we can either align to the grid or we can align the photo cells. And we do that from the guides section. And now we've got grid snap. And we can align, here we've got two options. We can align to the grid or we can align to cells. So let's go first for cells. I'll set that to cells. And then when I move this image, this second image up, you'll see that it will snap to alignment with that previous cell. And that's pretty cool. But we can also select grid. So now I can select this image again, and when I move it, I'll be actually aligning to the grid. You'll see there it snaps to whatever grid you've got selected. And just move that up and you see it's just quite not right. So what I'll do is I'll go back to cells and then I'll be able to align that precisely. There we go, with that other cell. Okay, next we've got a couple of changes to the presets. So let's just scoot back to develop module and we'll have a look at the presets. Now if you create a preset with the same name as another in the group, a dialog will open now asking you what you want to do. So here we've got one, let's say called natural. Okay, and it's in the user presets section. So let's try and create a new preset now. We'll create preset and we'll just call this one natural. And now when I click create, I'll get a duplicate preset name dialog box appear and it'll say you've already got one called natural. What do you want to do? Do you want to replace it? Do you want to duplicate it? Or do you want to rename it? Well, in this case, let's replace it with the up-to-date version, which is the one I've just created. And there we go. Now we've got a new feature as well called Show Partially Compatible Presets. Now sometimes presets are not compatible with certain types of images. It can be for a variety of reasons, but commonly it's because, let's say, a profile is included in the preset that only works on RAW files and not with JPEGs. In these cases you can see here that I've got two images down here, and at the moment I'm on a JPEG image. And you can see that two of these presets here, they're italicized and they're a little bit faded. And this is just flagging up to me that these are not compatible with JPEG images. They won't work as I expect them to work. You'll see that next to this I've got a RAW file, a DNG file. And if I click on that file, then they go back to being normal. And this means that, yep, these presets are compatible with the RAW files. Now sometimes these presets can be hidden. So I'll just go back to my JPEG image and show you that these two are actually visible. But if I go to Edit or Lightroom if you're on a Mac and Preferences, and I go to the Presets tab, then this visibility thing here, it says Show Partially Compatible Develop Presets. Well, sometimes that may be switched off in which case you wouldn't see these partially compatible ones. I prefer to see everything that I've got going, so I'm going to put my tick back in that, and you'll see that the partial one will come. At least I can see them rather than being hidden. And then I'm just going to click OK. Okay, next on the list we have single step HDR Panorama merge, and this is probably my favourite. We can now create HDR panos faster because we can merge multiple bracketed exposures into multiple HDR photos and then stitch them all together in a panorama all in one step. Now, a few years ago I was at Lincoln Cathedral and I did a similar project like this one, where I basically stitched, I think there was something just short of 200 images in this one image, and each set had three HDR images, and then I had to put them together in a HDR and then stitch them, top one and then the next one, and then it was an awful process. I was really pleased with the image and it took some doing, but it wasn't easy. Now it's got just that little bit easier. So now I just went out the back just to have a quick look at, see if I could get any images to demonstrate this. So here we've got some pictures of a farmhouse, and what I've done is I've done 5 different exposures. I've got a 0 if you look just on the exposure bias, and I've got a -1. Just a minute. I've got me raw files showing as well. Let's get just the JPEG showing. Okay, so now here we've got a 0 EV, and we've got a -1, we've got a -2, and then we've got a +1, a +2, and well, that's it for them. So there's 5 exposures in each run, and then I moved the camera around a little bit and did another 5, and round and did another 5. So we've got quite a few images here. So let's just select them all. So I'll click on the first one and I'll shift click on that last one. I'm going to go up to photo and photo merge, but now we've got HDR Panorama, and once I click on that, off it goes. Lightroom does the business, and look at that, it stitched all those photos together. There's 15 images in that stack, all stitched together nicely. Now I could auto crop, but that's going to take the top off my tree, which I don't really want, and I could try the boundary warp, but if I put it too far across, I have a feeling this will, it'll bend a little bit in the middle. So what I'm going to do is just back it off a little bit until I get a little bit that I think that's about right, and then all we've got, we can crop this off at the bottom because there's a bit too much of this foreground anyway, and then all I need to do is to just drop it into Photoshop and just content aware fill this little bit here. So okay, I'm going to click on merge. Now there's some extra bits in here, say, as well as auto crop, I've got auto settings, which obviously it just does it automatically, and then it creates a stack and puts them all together in a stack for me. And then I just click merge, and then off it goes, doing its thing and merging it all together. And then by the magic of post-processing, here we've got a stack with 16 images in, which is the 15 images that we started with and the one that is now the pano. So if I double click on that, you can see that we've now got what is a reasonable pano, and it's not taking that long, and there were quite a few images with it. So I think all I would do with this is just take it quickly into develop, and we'll crop, and all I'll do is I'll just rotate it a little bit just to straighten it up, and then I'll unlock the padlock and I'll just drag that up to there. Yes, I want the whole of that tree on, so I like it over that way. I'm happy with it over where it is there, and double click. And then to finish it off, all I need to do is just go into Photoshop and content aware fill this little bit here. And there we have it, creating HDR panos in an amazingly short period of time. Dead easy. And lastly, but not leastly, we have a process version improvement. Now, every once in a while Adobe releases major updates to Lightroom that might drastically change the way raw images are converted and processed. Now, in order to make sure that us photographers can preserve their existing edits with Lightroom, Adobe came up with something called Process Version, which basically stores the different versions of various sliders in Lightroom and any enhancements to its processing methodology. In this version of Lightroom we have Process Version 5, and this version includes improvements to image quality for high ISO RAW files, which reduces the purple colour cast in your low light shots. And in addition, you'll see less noise when you take the dehaze slider to the left of 0. Now let's have a look at that. If we just scoot into Develop module and then down to the bottom, we've got the calibration panel, and in the calibration panel we have the process version here, and here we've got Process Version 5. The previous one was obviously 4. Just to show you, if we go back to Process Version 1, then you can see that the image changed a little bit, but if I go up now to the basic panel, you can see that we've got all different sliders. We've got recovery, fill light, blacks, brightness and contrast in a totally different order and different names, and that's how the sliders were in Process Version 1. So if we now go back and switch to Process Version 5 and then look back up here, we've got all our sliders again, where we've got the highlights, shadows, whites and blacks, and we've got them all centered in the middle at 0. Well, that's it for what's new in Lightroom 8.1. I'll see you in the very next video. Bye for now.